You know, we have been saying it all day. We're going to continue to thank our veterans for their service, for your service every day. My dad was a captain in the Air Force. As a matter of fact, that is his flag that you see over my shoulder. He never really told me much about the experience, but there was one day that I was going through our attic. I wasn't a little kid. I guess I was in my 20s. And I found some pictures with his handwritten notes on the back. And I'd really like to show you. Take a look at this. Written on the back of the picture on the top left, over Japan on training mission, posed picture at 1200. Top right, unposed picture at 1201 as I intercept a radio call from ground to intercept vectoring an F-94 fighter to intercept a bogey at our altitude and approximate position. Fighter acknowledges for hot, which means firing, for hot pass. Bottom left, F-94 breaks off from intercept upon identification just before firing. Bogey was us. Somebody on the ground really goofed up. And then bottom right, this is what my dad wrote on the back of the picture. F-94 comes back for a second look to be damn sure we're not a Tu-4 with American markings, still itching to put a few slugs into us if we make one suspicious move. We didn't. Now, you probably recognize Mr. Tim Robinson. He's on the show every Monday with the Wycomico County Sheriff's Office. Today, his role is history professor with Salisbury University. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's great to be back here in a little different role today, Jimmy.
Yes, and we're talking about Veterans Day, which started out as something else. Tell us where this came from.
Well, it started out actually as Armistice Day, which celebrated the end of the First World War, which occurred on November 11th, 1918, and it was very symbolic the way the ended the war when the Germans agreed to sign the ceasefire at 5:30 in the morning. The war was not actually going to end until 11 a.m. Therefore, it was going to be the 11th hour or the 11th day of the 11th month. And the craziness that's getting ready to happen is there's 6 hours left of fighting. There's 6 hours left of fighting in World War I. And it is really something we think about that 10,000 Allied casualties awaited on to be inflicted. And those are casualty numbers that are consistent with what we're going to see on the D-Day invasion in June of 1944. But Armistice Day was celebrated. It officially became a recognized holiday in 1938, and it was Dwight Eisenhower, though, this guy's going to sign the law that's going to change it into Veterans Day to recognize all veterans. But the whole basis for today's recognition originally was to celebrate the ending of the First World War, which claimed over 12 million Allied casualties.
Wow. Coming from Armistice Day. Now, you've got a picture here of a train. What is this?
Well, this is the train that was in the Compagnie Forest where the French and British delegation greeted the German delegation. And the interesting thing about it was when the German delegation showed up on November 8th, and they knew the war was over, they knew it was not worth continuing, and they begged for a ceasefire. And General Ferdinand Foch, the ultimate Allied commander, says, not on your life. We are not stopping the fighting until you totally capitulate. So 3 days of fighting could have been stopped, and it wasn't. And it's estimated that if the French command had accepted that request for a ceasefire over those last 3 days while they debated the ending of the war, which was coming, then 6,000 lives would have been spared.
Okay, you had pointed out a name that is very important to us. Tell us about Sergeant Henry Gunther.
Yes, Sergeant Henry Gunther, and there's a connection to our state with Mr. Gunther. He was a draftee into the 79th Infantry Division, and he went over to France, and he served in the Meuse-Argonne, and he led a charge. He actually approached a German machine gun with about 15 minutes left to fight at about 11:15. And some of the things that I've read about and heard about is that the Germans were trying to tell him, what's wrong, stay back. And they ended up shooting him down at 1:11. And he is recognized as the last casualty of World War I.
Wow. That is absolutely incredible. We heard a World War II veteran had said there needs to be more of an emphasis on history so that our kids don't forget what's going on. Professor Tim Robinson with Salisbury University, thank you so much for reminding us of some of the things that went on and sharing with us these stories.
Thank you for having me here again, Jimmy, and in a little different role today.